everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renee Jordan, and today is a special episode to help my professor, methodologist, the one who provided me with such great insight, wisdom, and help on my dissertation. I said that I would provide her with a module that she could share with her students in order to take a look at how AI can be used as a tool and not the answer as they work on their research papers and their dissertations. So what I'm going to do this informally. I'm just going to jump right in and take a look at 4 different products. And these products, I'm not saying that they are the best and I don't have an endorsement from them, but they are products that I have used and found to be helpful. And so I want to take this moment to give back and share with others some things that could help them along the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at ChatGPT. And so I already started writing a prompt and I said, you know what, I should just go ahead and share what I'm doing now as opposed to setting it up and then following up with the results. So this is my ChatGPT screen. It's asking, what can I help you with? And this is what I started to enter. Generate a prompt that a doctoral student could use to insert their research interests, research questions, and keywords that would help them outline their literature review and obtain guiding questions to help them think as they review the literature. The guiding questions should help them frame the so what importance or significance of their work by synthesizing what is known, what is missing or lacking from the literature, and how their work seeks to fill in the gap in scholarship. Seeks to fill in, fill in a gap in scholarship. Okay, so the purpose of this prompt is to be able to provide somebody with a prompt that they can then fill in with their information and then get some help. So this is something you can do before meeting with your advisor and then share what you come up with and what you have seen in order to have a conversation. This is not going to write your literature review for you. So I went ahead and submitted my entry. All right. So here's a prompt that a doctoral student could use to outline their literature review and guide their thinking as they analyze the literature. Prompt for the literature review outline. Research interests. Insert your specific research interests here. Example, education, technology integration, social justice, etc. Research questions. Insert your primary research question here. Example, what are the impacts of learning technologies on student engagement in online education? Keywords, insert the key terms or concepts that define your research. Learning technologies, student engagement, online education, instructional design, digital literacy, etc. Guiding questions for the literature review. What does the existing literature say about the primary concepts related to your research interests? How are your research interests defined and discussed in the existing body of knowledge? What theories, models, or frameworks are commonly used to study these concepts? What are the key findings in the literature on your topic? What are the main trends or conclusions across studies related to the research question? What research methods have been most commonly used in this field? What gaps or limitations exist in the current research? Are there any key issues that have not been addressed or require further explanation? What challenges or contradictions exist in the literature that your research could help resolve? How does the literature address the significance or so what of the topic? Why is the research on this topic important for the field? How do different authors justify the importance of the research? And what implications do their findings have for practice, policy, or further research? How does your research seek to fill in these gaps or expand existing knowledge? What unique perspective or contribution does your research bring to the field? How does your work address the gaps identified in the literature? And what new insights does it offer? What are the limitations or boundaries of your study based on the literature? Are there limitations in the scope, context, or methodology of existing research that your work must navigate or account for? How does your research position itself in relation to the broader field? What implications does the existing literature have for your research methods or approach? How do the methodologies used in prior studies inform or guide your research design? What lessons from previous studies can you apply to strengthen your approach? So, this is just a take one in terms of getting you situated. This isn't even the next step. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to copy this information. I'm copying the prompt and the questions, and this is just saying, giving you a synopsis. By using these questions, you will be able to synthesize existing knowledge, identify gaps, and clearly articulate the significance of your research in advancing the field. These questions will also assist you in developing a focused and well-structured literature review that demonstrates the relevance and importance of your work. So I'm going to just copy the prompt that was generated, and I'm copying the guiding questions, and I'm going to place that in a Word document. And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to jump over to the Word document. So here it is, and I'm going to hit paste, and my dissertation is already done and defended. Yay! But what I am going to do is I'm going to plug in my information so that we have something to talk about while I do this module, in order to show you how you can go about using it to help you along your way. Once again, AI is a tool, is a resource, is not the answer. If AI could answer these questions, then chances are, why are you going to do your specific research or topic or study? The issue is we need you to do your part in order to help fill in the gaps and strengthen what is known in the field, specifically when we're talking about education. So I'm going to go ahead and enter my research interests. So here are my research interests. Okay, so just to catch you all up, so far I've entered in my research interests. So digital literacies and technology skill development amongst Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women and girls, instructional technology, instructional design, Ubuntu, which is the African philosophy, I am because we are, and since we are, therefore I am, education, technology integration, social justice, creating equitable learning environments, informal learning, after school programs, and a cultural model approach. And I put Sylvia Winter in parentheses. Okay. So my research questions, I'm going to just go ahead and grab those. And while I'm grabbing my research questions, I'm also going to go ahead and grab the purpose of my study. Please note, the purpose of your study can change throughout your process. It can become more refined. And I'm going to drop in another line, and I'll say purpose. So the purpose of this qualitative case study is to explore how Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women in technology-saturated industries learn technologies and demonstrate digital literacies. I'm going to drop in my research questions. So here are my research questions. I have two. So what can Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women in technology-saturated industries tell us about learning how to use technologies? What are the ways of becoming and being Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women in technology-saturated industries? And I'm going to go ahead and grab my keywords. So the keywords are going to be the things that are not in my abstract and the things that I have not already pointed out. So I'm going to enter those in here. For my keywords, I have technology skills, digital literacies, Latinas, Black women, technologies, saturated industries, cultural model approach, Afrocentricity, Ubuntu, Bumuntu, Bueno, daughtering, humanity, humane research, Afrocentric research methodology, case study, poetic transcription. And since I have the definition of digital literacies, I'm going to include that as well. Now, the rule of thumb is anything that you enter into the AI platform belongs to you, and then whatever comes out of it technically belongs to the AI platform. I do want to caution you that you don't want to send an AI platform information that you would not want to email to a stranger, because yes, you agreed to data privacy, so forth and so on, but I tell you, the least likely places will email you and say, oh, we had a data breach. So treat it like you are indeed sending an email to a stranger. And so make sure that whatever you're sending is something that you don't mind someone else having a look at. Like I said, I've defended my dissertation defense. If I didn't, I probably would put a more vague research question in, something that just got at what I was talking about, as opposed to my actual, because I've defended and it's in the open database system of the college, I feel comfortable entering in my purpose and my actual research questions. And so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the definition of digital literacies that I used. If there is something that you know you're going to use, then the more information you provide, the better. So once again, I've entered in my research interest. I've entered, as an addition, my purpose for my study. I've entered in my 2 research questions. I've entered my keywords, which also included how my paper is indexed, those index words, and digital literacies. So if you, whatever search words you would use in order to find your articles, in order to find the publications and scholarships and studies that have been completed within your field, within your discipline, within the scope of what you want your dissertation to cover, that's what you would enter in there. And because I'm working with a specific term in terms of digital literacies, I'm providing that as well. When I'm talking about digital literacies, it tends to be different as a result of it being explained in this way. And therefore, whenever I talk about digital literacies, I'm referring back to Lewis 2009. So I've entered in that definition. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going back to ChatGPT. I'm going to enter this information. So I've pasted it, and I'm going to say use, so you can see I have all of those guiding questions. I'm going to say use the following as context to develop guiding questions to help me with a literature review outline. And so here are the guiding questions before. So right here, I'm going to say also update the guiding questions below so that they are specific to my research study described above. Now, ChatGPT will work through spelling mistakes and errors and things of that nature, but just out of good practice, I try to correct myself whenever I see that there's an issue. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send, and let's see what ChatGPT comes up with this information. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it. And for the sake of conversation, I'll just copy all of this. And I'm going to head back to my Word document and I'm going to put some space and I'll say updated response. All right, so this is what ChatGPT had to say. Here are the updated guided questions for your literature review that reflect your research studies focus on digital literacies, technology skill development, Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women, technology saturated industries, and key concepts like Ubuntu, Afrocentricity, and cultural model approach. Guiding questions for literature review. What does the existing literature say about the primary concepts related to your research interests? So that was one of the original questions, but now it has honed it in so that it's talking about my specific research interests. So, how are digital literacies and technology skill development defined and discussed in the literature, particularly in relation to Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women, and girls? How is the intersection of technology integration and social justice addressed in education, specifically for marginalized groups such as Black and Latina women in technology saturated industries? What theories, models, or frameworks such as Afrocentricity, Ubuntu, and cultural model approach are commonly used to study technology use and learning within these communities? Now, it's important for me to take a look at what frameworks are used because when I looked, these were not the ones that were often used, and therefore I was approaching my work with a unique perspective. All right, so what are the key findings in the literature about your topic? What have studies found about the learning experiences of Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women in technology-saturated industries? What are the common barriers and opportunities they face in learning and demonstrating digital literacies? How have researchers addressed cultural models and social justice in the context of technology education for underrepresented groups? What research methods have been most commonly used to study digital literacy and technology skill development, especially in qualitative studies or those focusing on marginalized communities? What gaps or limitations exist in the current research? Are there any key issues related to the experiences of Black and Latina women in tech industries that have not been fully explored or require further investigation? For example, specific cultural factors influencing learning or community support systems. What are the contradictions or missing elements in the existing research on digital literacies for women of color, and how can your study address them? How does the literature on informal learning and after-school programs provide insight or leave gaps in understanding the learning journeys of Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women in tech? How does the literature address the significance or so what of the topic? Why is understanding how Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women develop technology skills important for creating equitable learning environments and promoting social justice in education? How do different authors justify the importance of addressing the digital divide and promoting equitable access to technology for marginalized communities? What implications do their findings have for practice, for example, in education and tech industries, policy, or future research? How does your research seek to fill in these gaps or expand existing knowledge? What unique perspectives or contributions does your study offer to the field of digital literacy and technology learning for Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black women in tech industries, especially in terms of applying Afrocentric or Ubuntu frameworks? How does your research work to expand the literature by integrating concepts of community and cultural identity with the development of digital literacies and technology skills in marginalized groups? What are the limitations or boundaries of your study based on the literature? Are there limitations in the scope, context, or methodologies of existing studies that you need to navigate or account for in research? For example, lack of intersectionality, limited focus on informal learning environments like after-school programs. How does your research position itself within broader scholarship on digital literacy, tech education, and cultural models? How does it challenge or build on the existing knowledge? Almost done. What implications does the existing literature have for your research methods or approach? How do the methodologies used in previous study, example, qualitative case studies, poetic transcription, Afrocentric research methodologies, inform or guide your own research design? What lessons from prior research or poetic transcription Afrocentricity and humane research can you apply to strengthen your research approach, particularly in terms of data collection and data analysis within the context of marginalized communities? All right, so that is how you can get help with your literature review. When it comes to doing the work of research, you have to read the scholarship. Unless you are going in from a grounded theory approach and you are trying to prevent yourself from being swayed one way or the other, then you really need to get into the literature to find out what's going on and what others have to say. And even with grounded theory, you still have to know enough of what's happened in the field to get an inkling in terms of what direction you should go into and the things that you should consider. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to jump over to another platform. The platform is called Perplexity, and I'm going to use it in order to find literature as it relates to my research interests. So Perplexity is another platform. It actually, if you purchase a subscription, it integrates ChatGPT and some other things. I do not have a purchase subscription for Perplexity. I do have one for ChatGPT because I often use it at work, specifically with rephrasing emails and making sure that they're clear. You can even, just a FYI, you can set the expectation in terms of, oh, please rephrase this email so that it's on an 8th grade reading level. Because chances are, if it can be explained on an 8th grade level, it's least likely to be confusing to the receiver. Because when you send emails, you lose a whole lot of tone and other things as a result of writing something that's so short and brief. And so by saying, hey, can you rewrite this so that it's at an 8th grade reading level, it will come out in a way that will be more clear to anyone and not just someone who's in your same field, discipline, or profession. So what will you learn? So I'm going to go ahead and ask, I am completing a literature review on the digital literacies and technology skill development of Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black girls. Provide me with a list of articles that I may consider for my dissertation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hit go. So it says, here's a list of articles that you may consider for your dissertation on the digital literacies and technology skill development of Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black girls. So what I'm going to do, since this is for my dissertation, I'm going to ask that it update the last response. Please update the last response so that it only includes articles from refereed journals. Okay, here's a list of articles from refereed journals that you may consider for your dissertation on digital literacies and technology skill development of Latinas, Afro-Latinas, and Black girls. So now, and so I'm going to say, provide me a list of refereed journal articles on the digital literacy skills of Black girls that exclude others. For example, the articles should not include Black boys or other minority groups. And let's see what I get this time. Update the last response so that it includes a list of 10 articles. Now, the funny thing is, you want to capture your responses when you get them, because you can come back and enter in similar text and get a different result. So I see here on the left my library, and this is what I mean. So I'm going to jump over to this search that I did previously. And here's my prompt: provide me with 10 referee journal articles on the digital literacy skills of Black women. The articles must focus on Black women and girls as opposed to including Black men, Black boys, or other minority groups. So when I did it that time, these are the results that I found. And interestingly enough, you can tell the difference between the two prompts. The previous one just said Black girls. This one said Black women and girls. And so I did include this Ellis Kirkland article in my dissertation. I want to say MacArthur is in there. I know that Muhammad and Womack are definitely in there, as well as this one by Price Dennis. As you can see, if you're able to pull it from off the web, then you can click on the note and go about downloading it from there. But you can definitely copy out this information by hitting the copy button in order to save it for later. So I'm going to copy it and save this for later and paste that to my Word document. And I'll also copy the prompt that I used and put that on my Word document. I'm going to head back to the prompts from this time around, and I'm going to scroll down to that last one. I'll just hit the copy button, paste that into my Word document so I can save that for later. And for each article, it does provide you with the citation, and I'm going to stop here. Hopefully this will give you enough to pique your interest and to get you to look around and find out what you can come up with. Now, just because something's available on the internet, what you might want to do, this is another one that's showing you where you can actually obtain the article. Georgia State has an excellent online library, I must say, so make use of it. I'm going to close that. It will also provide you the citation when you copy it, so you're not just left with the text that's there, but also any other additional information. So I've copied and I've saved that information. Now I'm going to stop sharing. I have two more that I want to show you. One is Napkin AI. And with Napkin AI, you will be able to create visual stories. And once again, this is a tool, it's a resource, it's not the answer. It's because you have to start off with something. So what I'm going to do, there was a part of my presentation when I was getting it together, it was giving me some challenges. So I ended up using this as the visual for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the text from this slide and place it into Napkin and see what it comes up with in terms of helping to bring a visual to this text. To make it easy, I'm going to drop it into a Word document first, because sometimes when you copy stuff from PowerPoint, it can be a little challenging. So I'm going to share with you what I transferred over to the Word document. So here I have the Fierce Educational Advocates. I'll just put a one there, 2 for professors, 3 for departments. These are examples of Fierce Educational Advocates, 4, and then 5. So I'm going to take this information, I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to head over to Napkin AI. Once again, a tool, a resource, not the answer. I had to bring the information I have over to Napkin AI, and I'm going to hit paste. So we have the title, we have the examples. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all of this, and I'm going to hit the lightning bolt. Just an FYI, I'm able to sign into all of the platforms mentioned so far with my Google email. That way I don't have to create a whole nother sign in and login. And I just want to encourage you to read the terms and conditions when you do that for yourself. This is just an FYI. So here we have that slide that I had in PowerPoint. And so now I'm going to go ahead and hit generate, and let's see what it comes up with. So it has a couple of examples. So this image could be present on my slide. I can download that if I liked it. Taking a look at the next option here. With this, it's actually applied its own title. So influential factors in educational journeys, peer knowledge. It's added some things. So peers shared insights and collaborative learning experiences. Teachers provide foundational support and challenges. Professors offered inspiration and constructive criticism. Departments facilitate access to resources and opportunities. The tech founder sparked interest in technology and education. So from what you provided, it creates, or generates, I should say, images to help tell the story. And so this would be an option in terms of how you could provide a visual to others about the material that you're sharing with them. And so I have some other options here that don't include descriptions. When you're presenting information, and let's say you just want to hit the talking points, you want to make sure you hit the talking points and you have that other information memorized, or you touch on it based on how you feel you want to touch on it. That's great. The only thing I really don't like about this is that it changed my title from Fierce Educational Advocates. That's the name that I wanted because that's the terminology that was provided by my contributors. Whereas influential factors in education journey, that's nice, but that's not what was said. So here we have another way of depicting it. Some more. This one's a little long, but it essentially does what I attempted to do with it does have the educational advocates, but it doesn't say fierce. Fierce is important. It attempts to do what I did on the presentation. Here's another way of viewing it. Another way, just scrolling through. So you have all of these options. And let's say that I've decided that I want to go with one that was presented earlier. Or let's say I wanted to go with this one. I can go with this one and I can change the appearance of it in terms of the font and the colors. And even after I select the font that I want to work with and the colors, the style, if you will, I could still go in and make edits. So I told you all I did not like that title. So I can go back in here and say Fierce Educational Advocates. And then I can go in and edit the information that's here if I felt like I wanted it to be different. I can even change the color here of the text. And in order to download this image, I would simply click and drag until all the parts are highlighted. And then I select the download, and I can decide, do I want it in light mode or dark mode? Do I want the background on or off? So do I want it to have a transparent background so that if I download it and put it on something that has a colorful background, I'm able to overlay it? And then the resolution, I just put it at 3. And so I can go ahead and hit download. And so I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'm going to return to the PowerPoint. So I'm returning to the PowerPoint. And I'm going to click and drag the image that I downloaded from Napkin and place it in my PowerPoint. And so as you can see, PowerPoint has some AI to it as well. And I can add more information here. So this is just for comparison purposes. This is what Napkin AI came up with as a visual for the Fierce Educational Advocates. And this is what I had as a visual for the Fierce Educational Advocates. So Napkin AI is a way to get into visual storytelling. Once again, it is an option, a tool, a resource is not the answer. I had to do the work behind all of this in order to synthesize my findings into something that provided insight as it related to my discipline in instructional technology, specifically instructional design, and what can be done as a result of my findings. I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and I'm going to show you this. This is going to be the fastest one. Thank you for your patience thus far. I'm going to delete this slide because I like what I had. So I'm going to go to the view and I'm going to view the outline. I'm going to highlight all of this good stuff minus my email address. You can restrict how much information you provide to the AI tool that you're using. So I'm going to go over to our final tool for today. We're going to take a look at Gamma, and Gamma is a way to generate presentations quickly. And once again, I'm able to sign in as a result of having a Gmail. You can create an account if you want to. I'm going to jump over here and paste the outline from my dissertation. It seems a little short. It didn't put all the spaces in when I copied it. Interesting. So give me a moment while I add some spaces. Okay, so what I've done, I've copied and pasted the text, or the outline, I should say, from my presentation over into Gamma. And what I'm going to do now, I've also had to go back and space it out so that it would know when it moved on to the next thing, if you will. And so now I'm going to go ahead and hit continue because I want to generate a presentation. This gives you another opportunity to decide what's what, whether you want AI images, presentation default. I'm just going to see what it comes up with. So I'm going to hit continue. I'm going to go ahead and pick, I actually like pink. So I'm going to stick with that one. And since I'm going to stick with that one, I'm going to go ahead and hit generate. Okay, so this is the presentation that was generated. We'll start off from the beginning. And I must say, I like these images because You don't normally see a whole lot of Black women in tech in terms of stock images. So, if nothing else, I could say that I would definitely use and incorporate these stock images in my presentation. And so, this is the first page or the first slide. Here's another one. And you can fill it in based on the information that you have. This deals with that the fierce educational advocates piece right there. And the thing is, AI is just generating it based upon what it thinks will work and what you provide with it. I really like these pictures. I'm definitely keeping these pictures. Write that down. Renee is using these pictures. So it takes the pressure off, but you have to make sure that the information is legit, that it is including information that is relevant to your work in terms of what it's pulled. Is it making incorrect assumptions? Do you need to go in and just like delete, and then enter in the information that should go there? You can do that on the site. You can also download it as a PowerPoint presentation and do it as well. Here's the key lessons learned. I'm really liking these pictures. I must say that I am. Implications and future directions. And then acknowledgments, call to action, so forth and so on. So, like I said, you can download this, and you can download it by going to share, selecting how you want to export it. If you want to collaborate with someone on it, you can. You can share a link to it. So if you are presenting it somewhere and there's internet connectivity and you want to maintain the text, because what happens is when you download it as a PowerPoint presentation, PowerPoint is not always going to have all of the fonts that the Gamma comes with. And as a result, it might be a little different. It might be a little off. And you can get around that by downloading it as a PDF. And you can present it as a PDF. And so it's going to look the way it looks online. If you want to download and edit it, or if you want to download, save it, so you have it on a thumb drive, have it on your computer so that when you present, it is there and accessible to you. You can also download it as images. I'm going to go ahead and say done. And so I want to thank you for tuning in to this unique episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Renee Jordan, and the purpose of this segment was to show you how you can use AI as a tool, as a resource, but it's not the answer. The work of research is necessary because if it could have been done by someone else, it would have. But we need you to do the work so that we can get your perspective, your insight, your knowledge in terms of what's happening in a phenomenon that's important to you and important to shaping the future. And since I'm in education, I'm going to say the future of education and how we approach and view and implement policies, programs, and the like. So please feel free to like, subscribe, and share. Rate and review the podcast so that it becomes more visible. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.